A simple question looks innocent. It uses small words. It sounds like something a child could ask. Why is the sky blue? What is time? What is light? Why do things exist at all? At first glance, these questions feel almost childish, as if they belong to the early stage of learning, something that should be answered quickly and then forgotten. But history shows something strange and deeply uncomfortable. The simpler the question, the harder it becomes to answer honestly. Not because we lacked intelligence, but because simplicity strips away our protective layers. It leaves us face to face with what we truly do not know. Richard Feynman once hinted at this problem when he said that knowing the name of something is not the same as understanding it. A simple question does not ask for a name, it asks for meaning, and meaning is dangerous territory. Names give us comfort. Definitions make us feel safe. Formulas make us feel in control. But a simple question ignores all that. It does not care how much vocabulary you have memorized or how many equations you can write. It wants you to explain reality itself using ideas that actually connect to the world. That is where things start to break down. When someone asks a complex question, we feel prepared. Complex questions give us permission to hide behind complexity. We can use technical language, references, footnotes, jargon, and long explanations that sound impressive. Even if we do not fully understand, complexity gives us room to maneuver. But a simple question removes that escape. It demands clarity, and clarity exposes ignorance. Take the question, what is time? Entire libraries are filled with books on time. Physics, philosophy, neuroscience, theology, everyone has something to say. Equations describe how time behaves, clocks measure it, calendars organize it. Yet when asked to explain what time actually is in plain language, even the greatest thinkers hesitate. Not because time is too complex, but because the question is too simple. It cuts straight through layers of abstraction and asks for the core. And the core is slippery. Simple questions force us to confront the difference between description and understanding. We are very good at describing things. We can say how something behaves, how it interacts, how it can be measured, and how it can be predicted. But a simple question often asks something else. What is it? That what is not satisfied by behavior alone. It demands essence. And essence is where human knowledge becomes uncertain. Consider light. We can describe light as an electromagnetic wave. We can also describe it as a stream of particles called photons. We can predict how it bends, reflects, interferes, and gets absorbed. We can build lasers, fiber optics, cameras, and telescopes. Yet when someone asks, what is light really? We pause. Is it a wave? A particle? Both? Neither? The honest answer becomes long, careful, and full of caveats. The simplicity of the question exposes the limits of our conceptual frameworks. Simple questions are hard because they refuse to accept partial answers. A complicated question often has a narrow scope. It asks for a specific calculation, a specific mechanism, a specific result. A simple question has no such boundaries. It opens up an entire landscape of assumptions. When a child asks, why do things fall? They are not asking for the equation of gravity. They are asking why the universe is structured in such a way that falling exists at all. The question quietly challenges the foundation of physical law. Another reason simple questions are difficult is because they threaten authority. Experts are trained within systems. Education rewards specialization. A physicist knows physics. A biologist knows biology. A philosopher knows philosophy. Simple questions do not respect these boundaries. They wander freely across disciplines. What is life is not purely biological. What is consciousness is not purely neurological. What is reality belongs to no single field. When asked such questions, experts feel exposed because their expertise no longer guarantees authority. Feynman understood this discomfort deeply. He was not afraid to say, I don't know. In fact, he celebrated it. But most people are not trained to be comfortable with not knowing. Society often equates confidence with knowledge. Simple questions undermine confidence. They corner us into admitting uncertainty, and uncertainty feels like weakness.
even though it's the starting point of genuine understanding. Simple questions are also hard because language itself is limited. Words evolved for survival, not for explaining the universe. We use metaphors constantly, often without realizing it. We say time flows, space is curved, particles interact, forces act on objects. These are linguistic shortcuts. They help us think, but they are not literal truths. A simple question pushes us to confront the gap between
Availability and terms may vary. Check our website or your local store for complete details and restrictions. If simple questions were merely difficult, we would treat them like puzzles to be solved and then move on. But they are not puzzles, they are mirrors. When you ask a simple question seriously, it does not just reflect the subject you are asking about, it reflects you. It exposes how you think, what you assume, what you avoid, and where your understanding quietly ends. This is why simple questions feel uncomfortable even before we try to answer them. They do not stay outside us, they come inside. One of the most disturbing aspects of simple questions is that they erase hierarchy. In a room full of experts, a child can ask a question that no one can answer cleanly. The authority that comes from years of study suddenly feels fragile, not because the experts are incompetent, but because knowledge is layered. Education often moves upward from basics to complexity, but simple questions move downward. They dig, they tunnel toward the foundation, and foundations are rarely tidy. Modern knowledge is built like a city. On the surface, everything looks organized: roads, buildings, signs. But beneath the surface lie pipes, cables, cracks, and old structures no one fully remembers. Simple questions take you underground. What is energy seems straightforward until you realize that energy is not a thing you can point to. It is a bookkeeping concept, a conserved quantity, a mathematical abstraction that helps predictions work. That answer is correct, but it feels unsatisfying. Why? Because the question was not really asking how energy is used, it was asking what energy is, and that difference matters. This gap between operational success and conceptual understanding is everywhere. We know how to use things long before we know what they are. We use gravity every time we walk. We use electricity daily. We use language constantly. Yet when asked to define these things at a fundamental level, we hesitate. Simple questions reveal that much of human progress is pragmatic rather than philosophical. We build first, we understand later, if at all. Another reason simple questions are hard is that they resist reduction. Science often advances by breaking things into parts. This method is incredibly powerful. We understand molecules by studying atoms, atoms by studying particles, particles by studying fields. But simple questions often point in the opposite direction. They ask about wholes. What is life is not answered by listing chemical reactions. What is consciousness is not answered by naming brain regions. Reduction explains mechanisms, not meaning. Simple questions quietly demand both. Feynman was deeply aware of this tension. He loved reduction, but he knew its limits. He once explained that knowing all the rules of chess does not tell you why a particular game is beautiful. Similarly, knowing all the equations of physics does not tell you why the universe exists in the first place. Simple questions sit at this boundary. They are not anti-science, but they are not fully contained by science either. They ask for coherence, not just calculation. Simple questions are also difficult because they expose circular reasoning. Many definitions quietly refer back to themselves. We define time using change, and change using time. We define force by its effects, and effects by forces. These loops are not mistakes. They are signs that we are dealing with primitives, concepts so basic that they cannot be fully defined without reference to themselves. Simple questions drag these loops into the open, where they become impossible to ignore. This is one reason why simple questions often lead to metaphors. When we cannot define something directly, we describe it indirectly. Time flows like a river. Space is like a fabric. The mind is like a computer. Metaphors are powerful, but they are also dangerous. They help us think, but they can quietly harden into beliefs. A simple question can shatter a metaphor. In what sense does time flow? What exactly is space made of? Suddenly, the metaphor collapses and we are left searching for something more precise. Simple questions are hardest when they challenge common sense. Common sense is not stupid, it is efficient. It evolved to help us survive at human scales. But the universe does not operate at human scales. At the quantum level, particles behave in ways that defy everyday intuition. At the cosmic level, space and time behave in ways that feel alien. Simple questions force us to confront the fact that common sense is local, not universal. When someone asks, how can something be in two places at once? They are not being naive. They are expressing a clash between intuition and reality. The hardness of the question comes from this clash. To answer it honestly, you must either reshape intuition or abandon it. Both options are psychologically expensive. Simple questions are also hard because they are timeless. They do not belong to a particular era. Ancient philosophers asked what matter is. Modern physicists ask the same question in different language. Future thinkers will ask it again. Technology changes, theories change, but the question persists. This persistence makes simple questions heavy, as if
you are stepping into a conversation that began long before you and will continue long after you are gone. This can be intimidating. It can also be liberating. Feynman found joy in this continuity. He did not see unanswered questions as failures, but as invitations to participate in an ongoing exploration. Simple questions are not meant to be closed. They are meant to be lived with. There is also a social dimension. Simple questions can be threatening because they slow things down. Modern culture values speed, efficiency, and productivity. Simple questions do not optimize anything. They interrupt, they pause the flow. In a classroom, a meeting, or a conversation.
At the deepest level, simple questions are hard because they challenge the very machinery with which we think. We assume that thinking is neutral, that our minds are reliable tools for understanding reality. But a simple question quietly asks something more unsettling. What if the tool itself is limited? What if the difficulty is not in the question, but in us? Human thought evolved under very specific conditions. We evolved to judge distance, recognize faces, predict danger, and cooperate socially. We did not evolve to intuit quantum mechanics, infinity, or the origin of the universe. Yet we insist on asking questions about these things using the same mental equipment. Simple questions expose this mismatch. They reveal that our deepest problems are not about lack of information, but about the structure of understanding itself. When you ask a simple question like, "What is reality?" you are not asking for facts. You are asking whether your perception corresponds to something independent of you. This question destabilizes everything. If reality exists independently, how do you know your mind represents it accurately? If reality depends on observation, what existed before observers? The question refuses to settle. It pushes thought into a loop where certainty dissolves. This looping is not accidental. Simple questions often generate self-reference. What is knowledge is itself a question about questions. What is truth demands a criterion that must itself be true. These questions point toward logical boundaries. They resemble paradoxes not because they are meaningless, but because they sit at the edges of what reasoning can handle without collapsing. Mathematics gives us a hint here. Gödel showed that in any sufficiently powerful logical system, there are true statements that cannot be proven within the system. This is not a flaw, it is a feature. Simple questions in philosophy and science behave similarly. They suggest that no system of explanation can fully explain itself from within. When you ask a simple question, you are often unknowingly asking a system to step outside itself. This is why simple questions can feel suffocating. They close in on thought from all sides. They do not allow escape through complexity or specialization. They demand either a leap beyond current frameworks or an admission of incompleteness. Both options are psychologically difficult. Another reason simple questions are so deep is that they force us to confront the difference between description and existence. Science excels at description. It tells us how things behave, how they change, how they interact. But existence itself remains strangely untouched by description. You can describe every property of water, but the fact that water exists at all remains untouched by those descriptions. Simple questions often target this leftover mystery. Why does anything exist is not answered by saying because of the laws of physics. Laws describe regularities, they do not generate existence. Saying this is just how things are may be honest, but it feels unsatisfying because the question was not about mechanism, but about being. Simple questions often cross from science into metaphysics without warning. Language becomes fragile here. Words begin to lose their grip. Existence, nothingness, being, reality. These words feel heavy because they point to something that cannot be easily objectified. You cannot put existence on a table and examine it. Simple questions drag us toward concepts that resist being turned into things. Feynman intuitively respected this resistance. He did not try to force reality into neat verbal boxes. He often used examples, analogies, and humor to circle around ideas rather than pin them down. He understood that some questions are not meant to be nailed. They are meant to be approached, explored, and respected. Simple questions are also hard because they expose the role of the observer. In classical thinking, the observer stands outside the system, watching objectively. But modern physics undermines this comfort. Observation affects outcomes. Measurement changes what is measured. When you ask a simple question like, "What is happening?" you must now ask, "For whom?" and "Under what conditions?" The simplicity of the question collapses under the weight of context.